Workplace mobbing and racism. In reviewing some of the channels that talk about workplace mobbing, I have not come across any of them that talk about how racism is being used in the process, and that terrorizes the targets even more. Those who are targeted tend to be people of color. In particular, many Black people have been targeted. Most do not want to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. Black people in the workplace are mainly targeted, especially if the workplace comprises mainly of white people with a few sprinkle of Asians in there. There are Black people that get targeted, and it's very racist, and it happens. Oftentimes, Black workers are held at a different standard than everyone else. It's not true that Black workers somehow do not do effective work. That's not true. I've seen many of Black people do competent and even exceed the competency of the work that is required of them. However, for some reason, their work performance is judged much harsher than anyone else's in the workplace. And it's very frustrating. When their work is being judged much harsher, that means that it's harder to be considered for promotions. The observation that's always been peculiar to me is, how is it that Black people who are in contract positions in particular, how is it that in the first few months of the contract positions, they're absolutely amazing, but then as the contract is about to end, or as there are other promotions that lead to permanent employment come up, how is it that somehow the same positive commendation and skill sets that the Black worker is using is somehow devalued closer to the end? And it's been a pattern. I've seen this over and over again. It's been a pattern. There are many Black people that should be in permanent jobs with benefits, but who have been let go or who have been driven out because others do not want a Black person to hold a permanent position, or certain others just don't want a Black person to be a manager or supervisor above them. And I've seen the complete disregard that others have. Others meaning whites, Asians, and other people who have this racist or anti-Black sentiment against Black workers. And it's unwarranted. How does it involve workplace mobbing? Quite easily. What often happens with Black female and Black male targets is those stereotypes that are being used, such as the Black woman's angry and aggressive, or the Black woman is possibly mentally ill, or the black man is aggressive and overpowering, or how black people are ignorant. These are things that are being used to label black workers. These are malicious lies, malicious stereotypes against black workers. So what typically happens is this. You'll have a workforce that's genuinely majority is white. You might have an Asian being someone from India or someone from China or someone from Japan or someone from Korea, or any other of the areas of the Asian continent. You'll have a number of them in that workforce. And they will shun or exclude the black person, the black worker, because the black worker is not going to include themselves on any petty gossip. The black worker is not willing to play the patsy to whatever debauchery that the others are planning. Because what typically happens is they plan different stuff and then they turn around and say that it's the black person that did it. That's typically what happens. So because they can't use this black worker as a patsy, they exclude them. And then when they exclude them, then they turn around and make lies and claim that that black worker is unapproachable. That black worker is not engaging with the team. But they won't even say black worker because they know that it's racist. They'll probably even accuse the black worker of being racist because the black worker doesn't associate with the remaining team members. So the same people who are exacting the abuse against that black worker are the same ones that are turning around and creating stereotypes against that black worker. And it's used so often. In work performance, there's been many times and many observations where black workers will work in a position for a number of years, not get promoted up from the entry-level position into a more senior position, but then are told to train other workers who've had less experience than they do, who have less expertise than the black worker. So the black worker is good enough to train the next person whom the black worker is going to have to report to. But the black worker is not good enough to get that same senior position. Anti-Blackness in the workplace and the racism in the workplace is real. A lot of these workplaces like to promote diversity. There is no diversity. There is no diversity. True, genuine diversity is having different perspectives and different people from different backgrounds being treated with respect and dignity. The type of diversity that are in the workplaces now are for optics only. That is what's happening in the workplaces. So the workplace mobbing is also very much connected to racism and anti-blackness. And many people, many black workers, are afraid to say anything about this. And the reason why is that there's fear. There's fear of being terrorized for saying this, for speaking the truth. If black workers do not say anything, they continue to be abused. If black workers were to speak up against that abuse, they're at risk of losing their jobs. They're at risk of not being able to provide for their families. And too many times, there has been many black workers who have been passed over for positions that they have rightly deserved to receive. But because of the racial and cultural nepotism known as racism and anti-blackness, black workers can lose up to 20 to 40 years of experience and higher pay. Because they're being terrorized and can't even speak about it for fear that they're going to lose their livelihood. Most people don't want to talk about it. They just want to say, oh, racism is not a part of it. Racism is a part of it. So for those black workers who are going through this, who are being targeted, rest assured and know that yes, racism is also a part of it. Anti-blackness is also a part of it. Just like, say, if you were the only woman, sexism is a part of it. Or if you're the oldest in a room of younger workers, ageism is a part of it. Perpetrators and the ones that support them will stop at nothing to terrorize you. And it's tacky what they do. So that's just my observations. Actually, more than observations, that's facts of what actually happens. Another thing that's really interesting is that you'll see a whole bunch of other people go into a quote-unquote ebonics in the workplace and then feel that they can relate to black workers that way. That is racist. That is anti-blackness. People know when and how to conduct themselves in different environments. At no point am I ever going to say, hey bruh, hey sis, how's it going? What's up? No. You're in a professional setting. We're not friends. This is a professional setting. There's no what up. Why would a white person or an Asian person or any other person do that? Just like I wouldn't be going into, say, a workplace and say, oh, well, whatever lingo that other cultures use. I'm not going to be doing that to others. And I'm sure that you wouldn't be doing that to others. So keep aware of that's also another aspect. And I will put in another installment soon for workplace mobbing, part 11.